Today I'm going to walk you through my work week, all 20 hours of it. And I know that sounds kind of insane, but I have simplified my life and my business so much, and my love language is efficiency. So I've figured out a lot of ways to work less and live more while still having a really thriving, sustainable, and scalable business at the same time that I truly do love. So I'm gonna walk you through everything from my routines to my deep work blocks to the mindset shifts that allowed me to unlock being able to actually work a little bit less and not constantly be in a state of busy. So I'm super excited to dive into all those. Plus, you're also gonna find out how I quit meetings in the last year and a half and have way more effective communication all around at this point and what I replaced it with. So we're going to dive into all of that, but before we do, in order to create a business that allowed me to have more space and stillness and more time with the people I love, I had to create what I call a scalable asset. And that is an asset that allows you to create an impact and an income without trading all your time for money. So we've created a guide. And if you comment, give me the guide below, we'll send you our 10 steps to scale your skill set and 10x your impact without trading time for money. And like I said, just comment, give me the guide below. We'll send you the link to access it for free on demand. Okay, so when I started my business, I was in a much different place in my life. It was a time where I was working around the clock and I was working 80-hour weeks and I was constantly on this sort of hamster wheel and burnout cycle. And I really did think that's what success was, because what I was seeing out in the world was hustle, 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 busy is success, productivity is success, yada, 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 blah, 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 until I hit burnout because of that. So I was thinking to myself, okay, if my calendar is booked solid and I'm taking on everybody that I can and I'm saying yes to everything that I can do and that comes my way, that makes me successful. But then I started to question, why do I feel so crappy if this is what success is? So I hit a massive burnout when I was 29 and ended up in the hospital with all the symptoms of a stroke, even though I was quote unquote healthy. I was clearly hurting myself in the process of trying to hustle for success. And so that really flipped the script on how I wanted to operate. And ever since then, if you ask me what my definition of success is, it is peace. Period. End of story. If I'm not in alignment, if I'm not at peace with the way that I operate on my day-to-day schedule and my life, then I'm not successful. It doesn't matter how much money there is or what you're making, etc. The external stuff doesn't matter if you internally you can't really live with yourself or go to sleep at night. And the lie that I really believed that led me to that place of burnout was that time equaled money. Time does not equal money. And if you're building a business in the right way, the ultimate goal that we all get into being in entrepreneurship for is to create freedom, whether that's freedom of location, freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of finances, I don't know, whatever it may be, it's freedom. And ironically, in building our businesses, oftentimes we build ourselves these cages and we trap ourselves in these time, these impact, and these income ceilings that we cannot break through because it's built in a way and how you have a business model that requires you to only be paid when you're working. And that is not really creating a true business, that is creating a job. So what's interesting is this all kind of started as an experimentation over the years. And what I really discovered was I found this concept of Parkinson's law, which really means that your work will expand to fit the amount of time that's allocated to it. So if you give yourself 8 hours to do a project, guess what? It's probably gonna take you 8 hours. If you give yourself 20 minutes to get that same thing done, you're probably gonna get it done in 20 minutes, or at least get a big chunk of it done in 20 minutes. So that was fascinating to me. So I started to do these little experiments by taking a full day completely off and also giving myself really hard deadlines and boundaries on my hours that I worked in the day. I will not work evenings. I will not work weekends. And our whole team, we have what we call flex day Fridays, which means you don't have to work if you don't want to. So oftentimes it's a 4-day work week. And yet, in minimizing the hours that we work and that I work, we got more done. The business continued to grow, didn't get stifled, didn't shrink, continued to grow and actually be more productive. And in addition to that, like I said, when I started, I was single and hustling my little face off. Today, I am married, I have a daughter, my priorities have changed, and I have very firm boundaries around my time because I have a family and I want to be with my family as much as I can. My daughter is 2 now, and I want to spend all of my minutes with her if I can. So I have to make sure that I am done by a certain time every day, and my mornings better be free because she and I are together and our whole family has breakfast together every single morning, and it is a non-negotiable. So I need to not work really or dive into anything until roughly around 10 a.m. And so that's how I've kind of set up my schedule, and I know I have a hard out every day as well. And having those parameters and having those constraints on my time has forced me to be so much more focused when I am working, and it's given me so much more clarity on what actually actually matters, what is pushing the needle, and what is so unnecessary. You've watched me slowly but surely not use social media over the last year to 2 years. I slowly stopped the consistency of which I was posting, and that was a big piece of it. I recognized that every time I couldn't step back from it or I posted less, it made no difference to the business at all. And so I recognized that if I took it out entirely, one, I'm more peaceful and I'm more focused because I don't have the distraction. And I just have so much more mental bandwidth to be able to be productive when I do need to work. And when I'm with my family or my friends, I'm not scrolling, I'm actually present. And I have deeper connections with less people, but I think that's kind of what we're built for. So it really forces into focus your high leverage and your low leverage activities, meaning what are the activities that are going to yield the best results and the highest return on my efforts, and only keeping my attention there. Anything else is either going to be deleted off my to-do list or it's going to be delegated. But most of the times, the things that you need to do, quote unquote, on your to-do list, half of it doesn't need to be done, or it doesn't need to be done right now, or it doesn't need to be done at all. So you always want to look at it through that filter to make sure you're only working on the things that are actually pushing the needle forward. And I borrowed this from a friend of mine and a mentor of mine, where he talks about there are sort of stages in your business. There is a stage where you have to be all in. That's a season that you have to be all in and you're kind of working around the clock. That's really what like the cog stage is. So you want to think about it kind of as like a triangle. So at the bottom level, you have like the cog level, and the cog level means that you are the cog in the machine making it work and tick along. If you think of your business as a machine, so you're having to do everything with brute force to actually make the business run. From there, you move into like the space of being the engine. So you're required to make the business run, but you're not doing every single little task. You're not making everything work. Then you become the engineer. You're working on the business, not in the business, which is most of the time where people get trapped, because that feels like freedom in certain ways, but you're still required for the business to truly tick along and work, just not at the same level as when you're in the lower levels. Then you enter a season, which really is the peak of where you kind of want to get to, which is the inventor. It allows you to work on what you want, when you want, how you want, because you're the person thinking big picture. You are the person thinking about optimization of your offers and your products. You are the person pushing the product forward. You are not in the day-to-day decisions. You're not in the minutia of the business every single day. And that really is kind of the growth path that is required of building a business where you can get to a place where you're not needed daily. So it's really going from hustler, I got to do everything myself mentality, to a complete and utter shift of I am now the strategist. I am now the consultant in the business, but I'm not the person doing all of the things, because there's people out there that are better than me to do those jobs. And I think the biggest moment that this clicked for me and made me realize this is actually so real and doable, when I took a mat leave with my daughter and I was off completely for months, and I wasn't needed, and the business continued to grow without me and being involved. It was a little bit of, one, a mindset shift, and two, a bit of an ego check of like, oh, I really think I'm required when I'm actually not. And I just have to trust the people around me and the systems that we've built to be able to run this business when I'm not there. And if you haven't built a business where a stranger can come off the street and do a job or a task in your business because it's so well documented, that's kind of where you first want to start. Also, our products get results for our clients without my time and attention. They have everything they need laid out in our program. And then I come in for coaching and consulting when necessary, but we also have a team of experts who are involved in that process as well. So again, it's freed up my time so that I have the energy to come back in full force when I do and really provide the most benefit. Now, I do want to say, I'm going to break down my daily routine, but there are seasons to this. Like, there are going to be seasons that are absolutely insane. I'm in one of them right now. So am I working 20-hour weeks at this very moment? No. But is that my norm? Yes. So understanding that in life and in business, there will be seasons. There will be seasons where you have to push a little harder, and there will be seasons where you can kind of just sit back and let things coast. And that is the ebb and flow, and you kind of just gotta love the journey of it and lean into whatever is actually happening at the time. So if you're given the space to just chill a little bit, chill, because you're gonna need that rest and that time when you do have to maybe do a push or a project or whatever it may be. But just know, this is not always, but the norm and the baseline should be something that feels aligned with your life. So let's dig into actually what the routine looks like. I do want to mention, before I get to that, be sure to comment below this video, give me the guide, and we'll send you the link to access our 10 steps to scale your skill set and 10x your impact without trading time for money guide on demand. So just comment, give me the guide below. So I don't really believe in morning routines, to be completely honest with you. I think morning routines can just create more work for you when you get up. And truthfully, with a toddler running around the house, it is not really an option unless I want to get up painfully early, and like sleep's really important right now. So I don't. I'm allergic to early mornings. So I get up when my daughter gets up, which means that I don't really have time to do all the things that I used to do, which was, get up, meditate, and work out and all these things. So instead, I look at my day like a menu, and I think of all the things that I need to be doing to make myself feel better and be at my A game. I know I need to move my body. Sometimes that means going for a 30-minute walk. Sometimes that means doing strength training. Sometimes that means doing Pilates. Whatever it is, I will slot that in at some point during the day. I care so much less about when it gets done now. I just care that it gets done. I also know that I need to hydrate myself and I need to nourish myself with good food. So every morning I tend to make breakfast for our family. We sit down, we have our family time together, we eat together, and that is the best way for me to start my day because it allows us all to connect before the chaos of the day begins. But I really think it's important to not put the stress on yourself of being perfect in your routine every day, but really having a menu to choose from of the things you know you need and then fitting in them in when you can. I used to meditate every morning. Now I meditate when I can during the day, whether that's 5 minutes or 20 minutes. I have my go-tos. I don't think about it. I go onto autopilot. I do it and I feel so much better for it. So as long as I check off those boxes of food, water, movement, and mindfulness, that's all I need. That's not a lot to fit into your day. All in all, that's taking me maybe an hour out of my day if I break it all up. So less about strict routines, more about what do you need and slotting it in when you can. I think it's also really important that every day is built a little bit different. I used to try and do all the things in all the days, and that creates this really scattered attention. Whereas now I'm so focused because I know which days are sort of my behind the scenes days and which days are my on camera or public facing days. So I just batch all of those activities into one day. If I have a day where I have to do a coaching call and I also need to maybe shoot content, I want to do that on the same day so I can look presentable. Because most of the time, this is not what I look like. Most of the time I'm in sweatpants and don't have my makeup done. So batching my days for what the focus of the day is going to be and batching my activities so that they're all in alignment means that I'm not sort of spreading myself thin and trying to get everything done every day because that just doesn't work. Now the meetings that I mentioned earlier. I don't like meetings. I find them wildly inefficient. And I oftentimes, especially in big corporations, because I've sat in on a few of these meetings, I find them just opportunities to talk. And it's just a waste of everyone's time. So like I said, love language is efficiency. So we, as a team, decided, I think it's been about a year and a half, to switch over to a lot of asynchronous communication. So tools like Loom are amazing. They save you so much time. So we also use Slack for communication, which is really more so project-based communication. Loom is sort of like walkthroughs or demos of things that people need to know across departments. We also use other apps where we send voice notes to each other and have sort of a walkie-talkie system, which our team is global. So that makes a huge difference because trying to coordinate time zones and getting everyone onto a call is very annoying. And so that's been a huge difference maker in a couple of ways, but a big thing I noticed was when we had set meetings every week or every day, people would sort of like store up, myself included, everything they needed to say for that meeting. And then they would just let it all out on the meeting. Then we'd have 50 different things to talk about instead of being able to communicate on the fly. And I don't have to answer right away, but if you send me a little walkie-talkie message and then I get back to it maybe in a few hours once I've had time to digest and think about it, it's generally a more productive and efficient conversation. So I'm not saying meetings are a no-go ever, but they need to have a real clear purpose for us to have a meeting in the business. If they don't have a clear purpose or a benefit from them, we just don't need it because all of our time is too valuable to be sitting there and just talking for the sake of talking. Now I want to dig into the systems that I mentioned as well. So the systems that allow the business to run without me actually being there constantly or being involved constantly. So obviously our offer. So our program is this packaged methodology and proven methodology that we've been leveraging for a long time. That is where our clients get the most benefit from. That allows them to get results and for us to create an impact without having to physically be present or in a live setting at all times for them to get the result. I used to do one-on-one consulting. I had an agency. I've done that model. I'm not saying it's a bad model, but it does inherently have a time cap or ceiling because there's only 24 hours in the day. So if you're basing your business model on trading hours, you only have so many. So this model allows you to kind of smash the time and the impact ceiling, as well as the income ceiling realistically. Outside of that, we obviously have marketing aspects that run in the background when we're not working. We have YouTube working for us 24/7. People are constantly finding our videos from all over the world and becoming potential leads and clients for the business. We have funnels that work in the background. We have email automations that work in the background. We also have on-demand emails that we send every day. We have systems when it comes to our team and very clear roles for each person on our team and very clear KPIs or key performance indicators for our team. So they know what they need to be doing, in addition to every single minute little task, as little as uploading a YouTube video. It is documented so thoroughly that anybody could do it. When I say a stranger off the street could do it, I mean it. That is our goal with every process in the business. And again, that builds out these systems across the board, whether it's team or it's product or it's marketing or sales or whatever it is. We have these automations, we have these optimization points where everything is set up so that it doesn't require me physically being there to get it done. And more importantly, it doesn't require each member of my team and their departments to physically be there to get things done. And a really good tool for this, if you haven't used it yet, is Scribe. It allows you to create checklists as you're actually doing the task online. So you could be uploading a YouTube video and it's actually documenting a checklist in the background of exactly every single step you take. So you don't have to sit there and write out the checklist. It does it for you. Now, I want to kind of share how this has benefited our team, our business, etc. And I think one of the biggest things is like the power of presence. When I'm not constantly hustling or burnt out or frazzled or feeling like I'm being pulled in 50 different directions, which I could be, I just have to say that the amount of crap that comes to me every single day that I could say yes to is a lot. But the power of saying no is so much more beneficial for me. I say no to 99% of things because I know what my yeses are. And if it's not a hell yes, it's a no for me. So the power of presence means when I am talking to my clients or when I am talking to my team or when I am talking to my husband or my daughter, I am there because I have the bandwidth to be there. And I'm taking care of me as a human being first, as that's a core value to having, for me, a healthy business and a healthy team. My number one guiding principle for our team is I want people to be healthy and I want them to take care of themselves first before anything else. And that has served us very well because when people feel well taken care of and they are taking care of themselves, they are going to have more to give in terms of serving at a higher level. I would also say the quality of work improved so much because we all just have more time to think creatively, to be able to be proactive and to think 10 steps ahead in how we want to approach things as opposed to being reactive. We're not spending all our time sitting on Zoom meetings being bored out of our tree. So therefore we can actually think deeply and do some really cool stuff. I think what also is very interesting is because especially when we switched to a 4-day work week, we were like, not sure how this is going to go over with our clients. But what's interesting is it's actually cultivated this community of people who are like, wait, you can do that? So a lot of our clients have implemented 4-day work weeks and they've implemented really strict boundaries in their businesses to create their own healthy and sustainable businesses because working around the clock is eventually going to burn you out. And I think another thing that we have really learned as a business over time and growing from like one person to now where we are today with over 10, I think it's important to look at it from a perspective of like the value of whatever you're working on as opposed to the dollar value attached to it. And I think a lot of people look at it as like, okay, you've spent 1 hour on that. That means that it's costing us X amount for that hour. I would rather look at it from a perspective of like, not everybody works the same. And if you just give people a deadline and when something needs to get done, they'll do it and they're going to do it in their own way. And that's also truthfully how I work. I'm not built to be a robot every day, to do the same thing every day, or to wake up and be like, I have to get this done today. I give myself a long runway to get things done. And that's why we like to be really proactive with our targets and what we want to achieve so that we can work backwards and give ourselves ample space and time to get things done. So we're not in the constant process of hustle, and feeling under pressure all the time. So from a financial perspective, it's also paid off in dividends because we're giving people and myself the grace to do things in a way that is the most productive for them. We're not basing it off of, let me track every single minute and hour. I think to drive the whole thing home is that I have had businesses in so many different iterations, and I've had this business in a lot of different iterations. And I've experienced a business where there is zero freedom and all I'm doing is working. And like I said at the beginning, that is not a business, that's a job. You have built yourself a job, and often a job that really doesn't give you anything back because you're just constantly hustling your face off. And like I said, will there be seasons where it's like that? Of course. And truthfully, I kind of thrive during them, but it's not sustainable for the long run. And so looking at everything as this sort of marathon, not a sprint, and giving yourself as much time and space to get things done as you can so that you're never feeling that constant need to hustle. Building a business without any freedom involved, where you are working all hours of the day, is just a very strange way to build yourself a ceiling and really a cage at the end of the day that you're gonna feel resentful of eventually. And then you're just boxed in by this thing that kind of owns you as opposed to you owning it. So I want to end with a little question, because I don't think people ask themselves this often enough when they are starting a business or when they're building a business. It's taken a long time to get to this point. And it's not perfect, but my norm is working less, living more. And when I am working, being really, really focused. But I think asking yourself the question, what do I want my day-to-day to look like? I think we often think about our business targets and our goals and what we want to achieve, but we don't think about the integrated part of it is, what do I want my life to look like as I build this business? Because if you don't think about that, you're potentially going to get into a lot of trouble of creating something that is so out of alignment with who you are as a person and how you want to operate. And that just leaves you feeling, like I said, just miserable and burnt out. And then you just start to resent your business even more, and you don't even want to do it, and you want to quit and give up. And that is the death of so many good businesses. It's not that it's a bad product or it's a bad business. It's just maybe a bad model, and it's not aligned with your values as a human being, which I think is so important. So for me, I didn't want to build a business that made me feel trapped. I wanted to build a business that allowed me to have freedom of choice, freedom of location, freedom of time. And like I said, it takes time to get there, and it is not perfect. But if you kind of have a North Star of what your definition of success is, which for me is peace, then everything else starts to work backwards from there. And it allows you to say very clear no's and very clear yeses. And that's why I work, 20, 25 hours a week on average, not because I'm lazy, that's far from it. I am really good at working, okay? So that's not the problem. The problem actually was finding ways to frame it and switch my mindset to be more productive and effective in the hours that I am working, so I'm not working around the clock, because my nature is to work around the clock, but I'm just a much happier and healthier person when I'm not. So what's your definition of success? How do you want to build your business? If you have a business right now, what about it is making you feel trapped, and how could you change it? And if you're in a place where you have this skill set and this knowledge bank and this expertise that you are currently using in a business model that is making you feel like you hate it, it might be time to reconsider the model. So if you want to check out our guide, the 10 steps to scale your skill set and 10x your impact without trading time for money, just comment, give me the guide below this video. We'll send you the link to access it on demand. And if you want to see how AI has come into the picture to make this even more effective, you want to check out this video next on how I built a $1 million YouTube channel in the span of 38 minutes using AI. It's pretty cool. So be sure to take a look, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to hear your comments below. They also are my love language, so I'll see you there. Bye.